How long until fish learn to avoid hooks? When will they realize that bait is a trap? Every angler who gets skunked knows this feeling. You pack your truck and set up your tent. They refuse smelly bait, sweet bait, and pellets. They won't touch dough bait or grain either. What on earth do they want to eat? But once you go to sleep, they finally bite. Why do good fishing spots suddenly go completely dead? Don't overthink it. You didn't catch all the fish in the water. The surviving fish simply put you on their blacklist. How long does it take for them to learn? Being hooked just once is all it takes. Let's debunk the myth of the 7-second memory. In the 60s, a Dutch biologist did a cruel test. He found a pond of carp completely naive to hooks. On the first day, he caught them like crazy. It was like an all-you-can-eat buffet. A week later, he used the exact same setup. The catch rate dropped to almost zero. The fish weren't gone. They were still swimming right under his feet. They simply refused to bite anymore. Tracking showed this caution lasted at least a year. Some records even say it lasted up to 3 years. But this doesn't mean fish understand traps. They don't have the concept of a trap. They know nothing about humans, lines, or tackle shops. They only learn a simple association. This smell, shape, and unnatural hovering in the water roughly equals the sudden disappearance of a friend. Like getting food poisoning from a specific restaurant. Seeing their logo instantly makes you feel sick. You don't even know which dish caused it. Your body just blacklists it automatically. That is exactly what the fish are doing. What's crazier is they don't have to get hooked themselves. They just watch a buddy get yanked into the sky. They can learn from that mysterious force too. One fish pays the price, the whole school learns. You might ask, why are so many still caught? That is a classic case of survivorship bias. Because you can never catch the smart ones. You only catch the ones that haven't learned yet. Scientists raised largemouth bass at Ridge Lake for decades. They bred the aggressive biters together. They also bred the stubborn, cautious ones together. A few generations later, they seemed like different species. The easily caught offspring were reckless and impulsive. They would bite anything they saw immediately. The hard-to-catch offspring were timid and paranoid. This proves that boldness is actually a genetic trait. In heavily fished waters, timidity syndrome occurs. The reckless fish get completely fished out. Only the overly cautious cowards are left behind. A single hook forcibly altered their evolutionary skill tree. Humans refuse to admit defeat, of course. If they ignore corn, we switch to worms. If they ignore worms, we use artificial lures. Fake fish, fake shrimp, and fake frogs. We use lures that spin, glow, and make noise. Here are some truly useful fishing tips. If your old spot goes cold, don't move yet. First, change your bait and your rig. Use a thinner line and a smaller hook size. Cast your line deeper and further out. You need to fish with a strategic plan. Back to our very first question. How long until fish know hooks are traps? The answer is, they will never know. They will die never understanding the concept. They don't know there is a person on shore. They don't know it's a millennia-old hunting game. They just learn to suspect anything that comes easily. Finally, here is a true story. Fish in old spots are insanely smart now. They evolved to nibble the bait off bit by bit. They avoid touching the hook point entirely. Would you call that evolution? You know exactly what I mean. I gotta salute these smart fish.